It is 11 a.m. We can now officially start the show. Let's go ahead and roll everything, shall we? And push.
Play my jam.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Metro. It is June 1st, 2019. We, of course, your hosts, Gru21 and Cappy Man. Hello. Good morning, Cappy.
Hi.
Good morning. Yes. How do you feel today?
A little bit sleepy, but that's usual for me in the morning. So.
Oh yeah, I was up far too late playing Minecraft with friends. As Xanatos, who's in chat, will attest for me here. We were having quite the fun, and they decided. So nearby player and Xanatos, a couple of people decided to ransack my Minecraft home and like ripped everything apart. I'll have to edit I'll highlight the VOD. The video on demand and get that upload to YouTube. But I'm okay. I'm tired, obviously, for the aforementioned story. So, but we've got a bit of a packed show full of some technology news as usual. But yeah, let's go ahead and roll this little intro out and actually go ahead and kind of get things started. So, this past week, Computex, of course, was a thing. For those of you who don't know, Computex is an event that happens once every year that basically allows for computer companies such as SteelSeries, AMD, Intel, and the like to actually present brand new technological products to potential, media and advertisers, and then of course the consumer market and everything before it actually does hit consumer market. And we're actually going to head and talk about quite a few of those. And actually, I think the real star show. I'm actually going to move the keyboard from SteelSeries down one slot, because I think the biggest headline really has to go to AMD, who basically stole the show in Computex. We have a video from Science Studio on YouTube. I won't play all of it, but we'll play some of it, where he discusses a little bit of the punches that AMD presented. So let's go ahead and check out that video right now here. Let me go ahead and scrub through a little bit.
I blame you. So I have a lot of stuff pulled up on my phone here. I'm going to be occasionally looking and referencing it because there's a lot of stuff to go through. But I want to start first with the CPUs themselves, just so we get a baseline, what we're going to be working with, and talk about what we expect to come out very soon, especially like the 16-core Ryzen 9 CPUs we're expecting here. So starting first with Ryzen 5, we have the 3600, 6 cores, 12 threads, boost frequency of 4.2 gigahertz, 3 megs of L2 cache, 32 megabytes of L3 cache. And then we have the Ryzen 5 3600X, just a higher boost frequency essentially, and that's a 95 watt chip. Ryzen 7 goes up to the 3700X, that's 8 cores, 16 threads, 4.4 gigahertz boost frequency. This is definitely higher than what we're familiar with regarding Zen and Zen Plus. Ryzen 7 3800X, 8 cores, 16 threads, 4.5 gigahertz boost frequency. That jumps up to 105 watts, so that's a bit higher. And then Ryzen 9 3900X, 12 cores, 24 threads, a 4.6 gigahertz boost frequency. Remember, this isn't talking about all cores, so you won't have an all-core 4.6 gigahertz boost frequency, but you could certainly manually overclock if you wanted. We're not sure how good of overclocking these chips are going to be.
Video here, but essentially in that summary, AMD, and actually I pulled up a quick article here from Engadget, that basically talks about the fact that AMD just came in, swept the show, and left. And so, and with that, they also announced their its first 7nm generation Navi graphics card as well. So not only did they take a shot at Intel, they took a shot at AMD as well. And this is great. Honestly, this competition is going to be absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, obviously, being that it is Computex, we haven't actually seen any actual benchmarks, results from the usual tech reviewers. It's hard to say exactly what we're completely gaining as far as, as the phrase goes, price to performance and things like that and stuff. But really, I mean, I'm running a Ryzen, I'm using an AMD Ryzen 7 2700, which is a 6-core, sorry, it's, I gotta look at my specs here really quick. I'm running an 8-core 16-thread CPU, and Like I love it, and it's really great that they've come out with it. I wish I could find the actual, like, I know there's like some actual charts and sheets that I wish I could find, but they announced processors for the laptop, desktop, and mobile. Cappy, what's your thoughts on this, please?
I'm totally excited. The reason why I'm really excited is because where they actually shine is actually in the IT infrastructure, because they also announced AMD EPYC Rome.
Yes,
I believe that's what they're called.
Yeah, something like that.
Pretty much, it blows the competition out of Intel right now with their current Xeon processors or their server grade work chips.
Yep.
The reason why is that Intel. This is kind of old news if you've been keeping up with tech news and other things like that. Is that 2 vulnerabilities were discovered on Intel chips?
Yes, that was right. Yes, it was it was like microcode into the Intel CPUs.
And pretty much those vulnerabilities degrade the performance to like 5 to 10%. And when you're in IT infrastructure like supercomputers, just having servers and stuff like that, you need all that power that you can get.
Especially doing a lot of AI stuff.
Yeah. And AMD is invulnerable to those vulnerabilities.
At present, at the time of recording this episode, of course, and streaming it. Yeah, and actually, fun, interesting video. There's a video on Jay's 2 Cents YouTube channel where he actually demonstrated the effects of actually disabling hyperthreading in Intel CPUs. Now, I think he also mentioned that I think at one point Apple did something with their CPUs where they like reduced some performance or something or other regarding like I guess they changed something with the cores or whatever, and it looked like it was like a really big performance hit, and it's kind of like the performance hits as far as disabling hyperthreading in Intel CPUs is kind of inconclusive at the moment, from my understanding. But because because AMD is more invulnerable, is because they haven't had a chance to be out as long as Intel, and more people have had more chances to work with, look into Intel's micro architectural code, if you will. I guess probably using the wrong terms or whatever, but who cares? So they're just currently more vulnerable. Therefore, you're having to reduce some of the feature sets of the Intel chip, which almost kind of makes you go like, I don't know if I want to really mess with having to disable, because nobody wants to go through their BIOS and they want to be able to. They literally just want to be able to plug and play. Really quick here, I'm going to insert something. Also, the X570 motherboards were announced, which and also PCIe Gen 4 was announced.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that.
PCIe Gen 4, which, for those of you who don't know, in layman terms, basically the PCI Express is a faster way, it's sort of like a faster data connection, essentially. Really, really short there. I remember seeing a video from Gamers Nexus where he was taking a look at a expansion card by MSI, I think, or somebody, that had over 4 M.2 slots that would actually be able to utilize PCIe Express 4 for data transfer, essentially. Because graphics cards don't really need like they don't need that much bandwidth to get the data out. But if you're looking more toward prosumer workstation, large computing platforms, PCIe Gen 4 is a huge advantage for a lot of that stuff, depending on what you're trying to do, whether it's calculation cards or whatever you want to, have. But the reason why I brought up the X570 is because they now have fans on the chipset, because the chipset is reaching over 11 watts, which apparently anything over that requires or could require a fan. Now Asus has claimed that they won't necessarily need a fan on their chipset, which is fine. MSI chose to put a small, I think it was like a small, like 80 millimeter fans on their chipset, just for cooling. And there's mention of Threadripper here in this article, the AM4 socket, which hopefully those of you who are on I'm on X470, so forward compatibility could still be a thing. The only thing I'm still really worried about, though, as far as forward compatibility, is because the chipset is... So if somebody bought a 3000 series CPU, and this is a question more for Cappy, if someone bought a 3000 series CPU and they dropped it in their X470, does the chip know to just not pull as much from the chipset? Because would it like auto detect the platform that you're on and therefore not pull as much wattage to the chipset? How is that going to even work?
So yes, pretty much the chipset is, think of it as like a USB thumb drive, or a USB drive.
Okay.
And you're using it with your socket, your CPU. The CPU automatically detects on what chipset you are using.
Mm-hmm.
So if you drop it into like a X470 chipset, it's not going to affect it, or even an X170 chipset.
Interesting.
Or the previous generation for the AMD Ryzen, first-gen Ryzen CPUs. If you're still using first-gen Ryzen CPUs, you're still compatible with AMD second-gen and third-gen processors.
Because of the AM4 socket.
Yeah. Pretty much this happened with the AM3 socket. A lot of people were confused about, okay, is the AMD FX higher-end processors compatible with other AM3 processor sockets.
Mm-hmm.
However, the problem is that some boards weren't compatible, and AMD just made a rehash called AM3 Plus.
Got you.
Meaning that any processors with a TDP of 150 could be placed into the AM3 Plus socket, whereas the AM3 socket cannot take the 150 TDP CPUs.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so it's all really, really great. The clock speeds are absolutely impressive. Well, that is to say, as it stands currently. So yes. As Linus says, putting an asterisk as it stands, because right now we don't know what we're actually going to be like getting as far as performance and everything else, because they can make their benchmarks look as good as they want, obviously. However, if these are actual clock speeds and stuff, that's great. Honestly, I don't see myself upgrading to the 3000 series just yet, because my 2000 series right now is running absolutely solid. I really wouldn't touch a good thing right now. But Cappy, what about you? Would you be switching over to, or would you be upgrading or switching anything that you're doing on your workstation?
No, not really. Like, I just upgraded to a 2600X, and I absolutely enjoy it. Like, anything that I can throw at it, it works flawlessly. So I don't see a reason why for me to upgrade to the 300 or the third gen processors just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe down the line when I build another computer, I would.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, for me, it's a solid pass. But if you're looking to build a high-end workstation or gaming station, definitely go with the Ryzen 300 series as of right now.
I also would like to mention that the mobile market is going to see a huge, a large shift as well, which would be great because, again, Intel's had a long time to flex. I mean, they've been, flexing their CPU, might for a while now. As of recently, there was I think it was another video from Tech Quickie, which is also a series by Linus Media Group. they mentioned that Intel had been struggling to innovate and with their CPUs, and apparently part of that is due to the fact that Intel develops everything in-house. They don't have, whereas AMD, they have, I'm going to just use the term loosely, of external contractors or external companies that they work with to help them develop the silicon for the chip. Plus, apparently, Intel was also having some sort of, shortage of something to help make their CPU. I forget what it was actually. You might know what I'm talking about, though, where they were like, it was talking about they were having a CPU shortage because of development or something, or not having, I can't remember what it was. Well, basically, whatever that particular issue is making it very difficult for them to get the architecture smaller. Because we go for 10 nanometer and 7, and smaller. So it's basically a smaller surface area with more transistors. And
I don't think they were having issues on shortages, but rather the development of the 7 nanometer chipsets. I believe that they were just having issues with it because they couldn't get it to validate.
Let's see something here. Intel shortage of CPU. I know it was something in here. Apparently they're having shortages until the third quarter of 2019, actually. Intel CPU shortage to persist. Let's see if there's a way to get to the summary. This is kind of me looking up things on the fly, unfortunately. I don't normally do that. Okay, well, anyway, either way, it's kind of like it's almost like I could picture the CEO of Intel walks in the office one day, grabs his coffee, and somebody comes and says, "Yeah, Intel just dropped XYZ," and the guy just spits his coffee out and goes, "What?" Because this is Intel or AMD has been a bit of a sleeping dog in a way, as far as they haven't done anything, and then they're just like flex, and then all this stuff drops here. They won Computex hands down, honestly. So super excited about that. But I know we've been talking a lot about AMD and Intel and stuff like that. It's just really nice to see that. Meanwhile, I'm gonna shuffle the stories a little bit here because it's a good segue between the two. As we had mentioned, AMD took a shot at Nvidia with their Navi GPU, but Nvidia did not. They still showed up, and they kind of showed off with their Quadro series RTX laptop. And Cappy, I believe this was your story, so you want to go ahead and talk about this? Please go ahead.
So pretty much, NVIDIA announced that their Quadro RTX lineup is actually coming to select mobile workstations from.
Now, before anybody asks, anybody who's listening or watching is confused. So Quadro generally is the prosumer professional workstation cards, which are generally only available or had been only available in desktops. They're much more. They're not. You can game on a Quadro, but it's not designed for that. It's more for 3D modeling, 3D world engine stuff, AI things. Quite a few other heavy, large computing tasks. So just a quick clarification. But Cappy, please continue.
So pretty much the three workstation or four that have been confirmed so far are Dell, HP, Lenovo, and MSI. And actually ASUS, but they didn't mention that in the article that I'm looking at right now. Pretty much ASUS, their ZenBook Pro lineup, and so on and so forth. MSI, Dell, HP. I don't know exactly what the Dell one is or the HP one. Mm-hmm. What was even weird that the two had a workstation laptops, but either way, pretty much they're going to feature the RTX 5000 4,000 and 3,000 Quadro GPUs with massive GPU memory of up to 16 gigabytes. Pretty much 6 more gigabytes than a RTX 2080 Ti.
Yeah, I was about to say because that's pretty. Because as I recall, we had seen graphics cards that were in that large memory buffer space for sort of in regards to some GeForce cards. If you think of like 980 Ti and 10 and things like that, most of the Ti models, which fun fact, Ti actually stands, I think it stood for like Titan or not Titan, it was like titanium cards.
Yeah, titanium.
Yeah. So fun little tidbit there. But yeah, so these cards in particular, again, that size up to 16 gigs in a Quadro in a mobile, really impressive. Continue.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see how their TDP is going to work, because I know that the Quadro GPUs are very hot demanding, and also thermal demanding as well. So it's going to be kind of interesting on how they're going to handle the cooling. Also, I do want to mention the new lineup of mobile workstation also features the Quadro T2000, T1000, P620, and P520 GPUs. Oof. So pretty much you have a mobile lineup and also a desktop lineup as well. So there's definitely room for the market for both. Mm-hmm. And the companies that have been definitely known to use Nvidia RTX technology is Canon Design, KPF, and Red Digital Cinema. All use RTX, the Quadro RTX lineups.
And generally, for more explanation, Red Digital cameras produce up to like 4 and 8K footage, which if you're a video editor, it can be very hard to decode for editing and scrubbing, especially timeline scrubbing from my understanding. It can be quite a lot to compute all that. Now, what I'm interested in is that they're talking about these Quadro series cards, but you still need a CPU to operate them. So my question is, what CPU are they going to get paired with? Are they going to be paired with AMD or Intel?
They actually confirmed that it's going to be paired up with AMD.
Ooh.
The AMD 3000 mobile CPUs.
Oh, that's a big ouch for Intel.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Like I said, like I personally believe, I think competition is healthy in the marketplace.
Oh yeah.
And especially with AMD now giving them a run for their money, Nvidia definitely has to respond, either one, by outperforming them, or two, lowering the prices on some of their CPUs.
Yep, definitely. Because again, I now the thing is, but with Nvidia workstation cards, I'm very interested to know what the price is going to be for that, because that's not going to be that's not going to be a cheap cookie at all.
I would imagine it's probably going to be in the same price range as their Titan.
So around $1,000, $2,000, somewhere around there.
Yeah, probably around there. For the mobile, I would imagine probably maybe 500. Also, not only that, it's been rumored that Nvidia is actually going to start selling their mobile workstation chips as a separate purchase too, because a lot of laptops can benefit from that upgrade. And especially with the Alienware.
Yes, you remember Alienware 15? I think it's the Area 51 Alienware laptop with the upgradable GPU that was actually specially designed by Dell, I think, to actually have it be swappable.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're actually working closely with Dell, supposedly. Just rumors right now. Nothing has been confirmed. Nothing has been denied. But they're supposedly working with Dell and their Alienware line to provide that chip to consumers, so that way they can upgrade as well.
Yeah.
And I do want to make a correction on what I said. HP does have a workstation. It's actually their Z workstations.
Ah, okay.
I do apologize about that. That's my bad. I'm not really into HP or Dell.
I like Dell. We've got 2 Dell laptops in my house. HP, however, I feel sorry for anybody that owns an HP computer because my gosh, their customer support is literally like the worst. One of the worst.
I feel bad for you because you own 2 Dells.
I don't know. I don't know if it has to just do with who I'm getting that day or what. I usually have really good support with Dell. I've never had really any singular complaint with them at all. So I don't know. Maybe it just happened to be the day that I called, I guess. I don't know.
At my work, we've been having issues with Dell left and right. So
oof.
I'm personally staying away from Dell, in my personal opinion. But
no, that's fine.
But their consumer side, I heard pretty good things about. But their corporate side, like for infrastructure and other things like that, especially when it comes to the user end, horrible.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, no, good job for. I mean, where's my sound effects? I think we need some applause for everybody here. This was a fantastic Computex for everybody. But we're not done talking about Computex because I love how I just cut that off because SteelSeries introduced something kind of unique. And I've never really thought about this, but SteelSeries, who makes a variety of peripherals from headset mice, mouse pads, controllers, software, etc., introduced a very interesting kind of keyboard, an adjustable mechanical switch. Which Cappy, I think this was another one of your stories. If you go ahead and actually talk about this, because this is literally very interesting.
Okay, so pretty much, SteelSeries announced the OmniPoint switch. Pretty much, it's on-the-fly adjustable mechanical switches, allowing you to change your actuation points and other things to that nature for your needs. So a lot of gamers actually run 2 keyboards, one for work and one for gaming.
Oh, and I only have 1 keyboard, honestly.
I have 2 keyboards. I actually have.
I didn't know that.
I actually have a Corsair Strafe RGB version with red brown switches or something like that, and then I also have a Logitech G910 with their own switches because I like the feel of typing on that a lot better than I do with the Corsair keyboard.
Gotcha.
But I enjoy gaming on my Corsair keyboard than I do with my G910.
I have a Corsair, what was it? The K95 Pro RGB. I love using it. It's really, really nice. Oh shoot, where did we had a small little glitch here. I hit the wrong button. Hit the wrong transition. Okay. Anyway, go ahead while I try to crop something here on OBS. Yeah, go ahead, dear.
So pretty much they're guaranteed 8 times faster response, 5 times faster actuation, and 2 times more durable compared to conventional mechanical keyboards. Pretty much the OmniPoint switches, the response time is 0.7 milliseconds, and actuation point at the lowest is 0.4 millimeters. Cherry MX speed switches are actually 6 milliseconds and 1.2 millimeter actuation points. And a standard mechanical switch is 6 milliseconds and 2 millimeter key presses. Or 2 millimeter actuation point. The durability for each of them going from top to bottom, 100 million key presses, 50 million and 50 million respectively.
Now, well, let's talk about how. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and talk about how they make it adjustable. Apparently, at the very bottom. Now, I've never thought about using this. I don't think, and I'm glad SteelSeries did because I wouldn't have. They at the bottom, their key switches are unique because they have magnets, very small magnets, at the underneath the actual physical button, and then at the base of the button is another magnet, and they're basically using the power of magnetic force to detect very small changes in the magnetic field between the top and bottom part of the switch. Now that is, I never would have thought of using, and the cool part is because it's magnet, there's no moving parts. The only thing that moves is a spring. And you can actually, in software, you can actually adjust the magnetic sensitivity in software to basically you can make a keyboard as fast as you want, almost as fast as you want. And it's very customizable for your particular type of presses and actuation. And that is literally that is actually really, really cool and definitely super innovative for a keyboard. Very innovative.
Oh yeah, definitely. They do come in 3 different colors that you want: red, blue, and brown. Obviously, red's going to be the highest performance. Blue's going to be the mid-range, probably the loudest, and brown's going to be the low end, probably even louder than blue.
Got you.
So depending on if you like the clackiness of a keyboard, like with the Cherry MX keys, it'll definitely depend on what version you're going to go with. I'm like I said, I'm definitely looking forward to this, and also has an integrated OLED smart display as well.
Yeah, that's what. And the OLED display, apparently, from my understanding, is to help you switch, I guess, between profiles and a number of other functionalities too, as I understand.
And also to display whatever you want, say for example, with my old G710, I believe that's what it was. Give me a moment here. I actually have the keyboard right here. G510. It actually has a built-in LCD display that you can view your profiles, who's talking on Discord, TeamSpeak, if you still use TeamSpeak.
TeamSpeak in 2019, lol.
And so on and so forth. Definitely looking forward to what they're going to do with the OLED smart display. I'm really excited. I'm glad that feature is starting to make a comeback because I enjoyed that. And also, let's talk about the RGB because I'm looking at the pictures and it looks gorgeous.
It does look gorgeous. Now, these, of course, I don't know if they're actual photographs. I could have done a little something in Photoshop, but it does look, it looks very, very nice. Yeah. I'll be honest.
The fact that
Go ahead.
The fact that the whole keyboard lights up, I really like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no, I agree with you.
I kind of got bit by the RGB bug.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I have my Corsair keyboard here, which actually needs some cleaning apparently. And yes, I like Corsair's implementation of RGB a little bit better than I did on Razer. Oops. But the only thing is that the RGB lighting is it's not as bright as I would like it to be, but I mean, I can still tell what's going across my keyboard as it is. Yeah, the RGB lighting, the different switches, I think the biggest selling point is definitely the adjustable switches. Yeah. That is definitely and the built-in LCD screen. Honestly, if I had a built-in LCD screen, I think I would probably have it cycle between different forms of information like CPU usage or GPU or temperatures. Especially temperatures would be very interesting to know when I'm gaming and stuff, just to know exactly where I'm if I'm hitting anything not that I don't really hit any thermal walls, but still it'd be kind of fun. And maybe just put your own logo there. I don't know. That'd be kind of fun. I could see a lot of things done with that.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's super. These are some of the highlights that we found in Computex. There were definitely a lot more. I know that T-Force had some SSDs there that had RGB covers. They weren't integrated into the actual RGB who did that? There was Jay's 2 cents did a video about this where the RGB was integrated into the PCB of the SSD and it caused it to thermal throttle. But T-Force did a different implementation where the SSD was separate from the RGB lighting. So that's also really cool. I mean, who doesn't want their SSD to light up, right? Nobody asked for this, but it's kind of cool and it's there. The funny thing is, though, is if you have a case like mine with drive sleds, and say if my SSD had RGB LEDs, I'm never gonna see it because it's literally in the drive sled, and it's not even. There's no place for it to like flash, through or anything like that. But
my case has options for me to mount my SSD sideways.
Mine does too, mine does too, but it's in the back of the case, like on the other side where the window panel is not.
Mine's not.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I love the case I have, but mine doesn't have all that.
I love the case that I have. I have the Thermaltake View 78.
Nice.
I absolutely love it. Definitely really well worth case that I purchased and very fun building.
Cool. So we're kind of sort of having a bit of a short episode, actually. We could have probably filled, I think next time we got to put in a couple more articles, but today seems to be a bit of a short episode. But Cappy recently, actually, we're going to have something kind of rare. We actually have a bit of a tech review, actually, to integrate with this episode. And Cappy recently got a Surface Pro 6 M2 2018 model from Surface by Microsoft. Cappy, if you want to go ahead and maybe give us a little bit of a live review of what's your experience been with a Surface tablet?
Honestly, it's amazing. I might sound a little bit biased, but I honestly like what Microsoft done with the Surface Pro 6. They definitely know what they're doing in tablets and portability market. I enjoy typing on the Surface Pro cover and using the Surface stylus. I definitely recommend, if you're into the market for a new everyday use computer and also looking for a tablet in one solution, definitely recommend the Surface Pro 6.
Gotcha.
The one thing that really drew my attention is the fact that the Surface type cover is excellent to type on. No mechanical switches. There are more butterfly switches, but still it feels like a mechanical switch keyboard. The screen is excellent, has 4K resolution, and is very responsive, and it's fast and reliable, even with the zombie load. Vulnerabilities that Intel has.
Yeah. I really like to actually, while you talk about that, I want to go look up exactly what this bug is so we can kind of talk about exactly what this is. But go ahead and keep continuing while I do this.
The price is somewhat startling at $80 for the Surface Pen and $100 for the type cover if you don't buy a bundle, which there are bundles for most models. I believe there's one for the M3 actually. I made a typo on that. It's actually M3, I believe. It can get a little bit pricey on top of the 500 starting off for just the Surface alone, separately. And if you go with the i5, it goes up to $89.99, and then the i7, which is $1,000, and that also includes a GPU as well. So if you're looking for a gaming option and also like a switch replacement, and also looking for a workstation, definitely recommend going with the i7. The storage is non-upgradable, but it does have the capability of a micro SD card slot, and with 1 terabyte coming out soon, it's definitely worth the price range in my personal opinion.
Got you.
They are somewhat heavy. These are about £1 each.
Yeah, I was wondering about what is that like to carry that around and use that with that kind of weight. Is it very substantial? Is it not substantial? Do you not notice after a while? What's the deal on that?
To me, it's non-substantial because with my previous laptop and tablet, I was carrying around maybe about 11 pounds each.
Got you.
But now that I have a Surface, definitely replaces both of those devices and definitely relieves that back issues and other things like that. However, all in all, it is a great device if you're looking for a tablet and a laptop, and the price is there for both. The price is there for both. However, if you don't get a bundle, you're looking anywhere from $600 to $1,200 depending on what model you get.
Oof.
However, this is an excellent daily driver, And if you are taking notes or drawing, most of the time, Surface Pen is a must.
Got you. Okay.
I give it a 4.5 out of 5. If it weren't for the price tag and the fact that essential accessories didn't come with the Surface, then it would have gotten a 5 out of 5.
Gotcha.
I definitely enjoy it. I love the kickstand on it. There's actually a kickstand that you can use, or as they call it, the tablet stabilizer, that you can adjust anywhere from like a viewing mode to entertainment mode, and then studio mode, where it practically lays flat on your table or the desk that you're using or the surface that you're using. No pun intended. And I just really enjoy it. I think this is definitely $600 well spent. Like I said, it's really great portability. The uses that I'm using it for right now is media consumption. I actually have my D&D character sheets on here, and I also draw on it as well.
Nice. How is it for drawing? What's the accuracy on that as far as like being able to draw on it?
Pinpoint accuracy.
Wow.
Honestly, it is very accurate, and that's because of the technology that they use in the Surface screens. I forget what technology they call it, but pretty much it rejects your palm whenever you use the Microsoft Surface Pen, and it's just really amazing. Definitely, if you're looking for a new laptop, tablet, or just something to make it more conventional, definitely look into the Surface lineup minus the Surface laptop. I think that the Surface laptop isn't worth the money, because, well, Surface to me is meant for like as a replacement workstation and other things like that. If you're looking for something that's going to be a more higher end, that does include a better type cover, look into the Surface Book. Pretty much the Surface Book has a metal type cover and allows reversibility and other things like that of the docking station, so to speak.
Got you.
For the Surface, and it's a larger screen as well. I think the Surface Book is 14-inch diagonally. The Surface Pro 6 is 12 diagonally, and then the Surface Pro or the Surface Go is 9 inches diagonally and has Windows S mode enabled, but you can disable Windows S mode one way.
Got you. Nice. Sounds like a pretty good product to invest in. So if you're going to be heading back to school at any point in time, that sounds like a really good small portable machine for that very workload.
Graduation times for high school students are right around the corner.
Yep.
And if you're graduating and just getting out of high school, going to college, I do recommend a Surface compared to any other laptop, even a Mac, a Dell, HP, or anything to that nature. Definitely solid build. Definitely worth the price tag.
Very cool. So kind of doing a little bit of I know we're doing a lot of tech news and stuff, and maybe next week we'll insert a little bit of more world news at some point in time once I go through the email that we got, which, by the way, shameless plug, if you want to email us a story, you can do so at themorningmetro@gmail.com, and we will look at your article for review and see if it's worth being on the show. But speaking of articles and more things that I look up on the fly, which I don't normally do, we mentioned a little bit about the zombie load exploit in Intel. What a scary name. But let's go ahead and talk about this. This comes from venturebeat.com. And it talks, and I'm going to go ahead and just read some of the key points here. So the title of it is Intel Zombie Load Flaw Forces OS Patches with up to 40% performance hit. When security researchers disclosed a series of major vulnerabilities impacting Intel processors back in January 2018, it was clear that Meltdown Inspector were indeed serious. And it wouldn't be any exploits of multi-threading chips. Now a new Intel vulnerability nicknamed Zombie Load has been revealed to the public, and though it's already being patched by 3 major operating system makers, there's some bad news. Full protection could reduce your CPU's performance by up to, with a little asterisk, 40%. Referred to by the technical name microarchitectural data sampling, the zombie load exploit enables an attacker to access privileged data across trust boundaries. In a cloud hosting environment, it could enable one virtual machine to improperly access information from another. Researchers also showed that it could be used for app surveillance and password acquisition. The vulnerability broadly impacts operating systems that run on Intel chips, including Android, Chrome OS, Linux, and Apple OS, and Windows. Wow, Android too?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, because I've got a Note 4 that's like, what, 3 years? You know, I hate, like, phones are expensive to upgrade, but I hate feeling like I'm a walking security vulnerability right now, honestly. It's kind of scary. Go ahead.
So some Androids actually use Intel chips, but they're very, very early, 2011.
Oh.
Most Android most Android phones use Snapdragon processors.
Yes.
And they're not vulnerable to the zombie load attack.
Oh, okay. All right. That's reassuring.
So the Note 4 is invulnerable to that.
Oh, all right. I'm still walking security vulnerability, but still.
So I'm actually on ZDNet right now, or ZDNet.com.
Yes.
And so what the zombie load attack, like you said, it allows a attack to monitor privileged data. It says here on ZDNet.com that several YouTube demos showed just how deadly MDS attacks can be, with researchers employing, in one case, a zombie load attack to monitor websites the user was visiting using privacy-protecting Tor browser running inside a virtual machine.
Interesting.
So pretty much what this does, it bypasses any, from what I can tell, any VPNs and other things like that, virtual private networks, which is what Tor browser is.
All right.
Or the Onion Router browser.
Got you. Interesting.
So it definitely is scary because in our society today, net neutrality has been definitely a really big thing, and data privacy has been a really big thing.
Yep.
So it's definitely scary on what's going on out there, especially in the CompuSpectre of IT and other things like that.
I can't imagine what this is like for data centers who have to now worry about these patches.
Especially for schools, this is going to be very hard to combat. Yeah,
it is, because a lot of. Well, not a lot, but I have heard of schools distributing school laptops to different students in question, and the fact that we now have a new vulnerability that is out there, and also apparently which is going to cause an issue for the kids who need to do like schoolwork or connecting to the school's website. Let me go ahead and read a little bit further ahead here. In a published support document, Apple suggests that the zombie load mitigation will require an Intel chip user to disable Intel's hyperthreading processing feature, a major selling point of the chip makers' CPUs. During testing this month, hold on a second. It says this month. Let me quick see what date this is. Hold on. This was posted May 14th, 2019. Okay, so it's not too old. Apple says that it found as much as 40% reduction in performance with tests that include multi-threaded workloads and public benchmarks. Okay, now first of all, let's back up just a small little bit. We already know that Apple's performance on their computers is not very good anyway, so their percentages are going to be significantly higher, maybe, versus laptops, desktops that were constructed, I'm going to be honest, just constructed more properly. I mean, it's Apple here.
I'm going to chime in real quick.
Sure.
Apple does make good media workstations, so I actually believe that percentage is actually correct, in my personal opinion.
Fair enough.
I'm not saying that Apple makes good general everyday use laptops, but that percentage seems right to me.
Okay. Though actual performance impacts will vary between machines, obviously.
Yeah.
So they've introduced a partial patch for mitigation in Mac OS, leaving users to decide whether they want to disable hyperthreading for full protection. Now, first of all, okay, you can't even get to the BIOS of an Apple machine, though. How are you going to disable hyperthreading in Mac OS?
Totally not 100% sure. I can talk to one of my friends who's an Apple expert. He might know a little bit more about that.
Okay, that would be interesting to know. That'd be an interesting follow-up. No, this is not like the Baltimore City ransomware Red Tail. This is actually very different. This is not that particular hack exploit. So basically, in other words, this is just a very difficult issue, and this article was apparently updated. An Intel page discussing the vulnerabilities downplays the performance impact, suggesting that the performance impact may be small up to 3% without disabling hyperthreading and 8 to 9% with hyperthreading disabled. Though included charts show tinier changes using the latest high-end Intel Core i9 9900K processors. Intel underscores that disabling hyperthreading isn't really necessary for some users. Coincidentally, unless it's necessary for given customers' workloads and security environment, it says that it's not recommending that Intel hyperthreading be disabled, and it's important to understand that doing so does not alone provide protection against MDS.
Yes.
So even if you did, you could still be vulnerable. I mean, I've always kind of said it this way: if a hacker wants it bad enough, they'll get it, even with security patches.
Yeah.
So there's really no way to mitigate any kind of preventative attack from this. So yeah, we're kind of messed over either way, unless you're on AMD's platform. Ooh, shots fired. But yeah, that's what we're. So I just thought I'd reference that because we mentioned it earlier, and basically that's what that is essentially. So hopefully Intel's working on some kind of a patch. I hope. I mean, there's only so much that drivers can do, unless it's more, because drivers help the stupid thing work. But if there's micro architectural code that can get inserted into just by simple, computing tasks, then an OS or driver patch isn't going to fix it. You would have to physically patch the hardware, like the chip itself, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. So vulnerabilities, even though they can be mitigated through software or driver updates or even BIOS updates, there's still that threat of exploits.
Yeah.
That's kind of the downside of that. But the only way to really stop a vulnerability is if you do hardware upgrades. Pretty much like the WannaCry attack and the Spectre Meltdown attacks.
Yep.
Every single CPU from both AMD and Intel were affected because of how they were built.
Yeah.
This is just like the Spectre Meltdown fiasco that happened a few years ago.
Yep.
Pretty much the only way to really patch that is to do a hardware upgrade or a processor rehash.
I mean, if anything, it's great sales for Intel for them to sell you more processors, or this would be a very good time to jump to Team Red and say goodbye Intel until they get their crap fixed, essentially.
Red versus blue.
Never watched a series by Rooster Teeth, but yes, I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah, you think they planned it that way? You know, Red versus Blue is actually secretly Intel versus AMD in a comedic series. Did you ever cross your mind with that?
Conspiracy theory. Gotta get my tinfoil hat.
It's just a theory, a game theory.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, that's great. So, but yeah, we're just about done with this show. It's been decently long. I usually try to have the episodes be at least an hour long for your listening and viewing pleasure and everything. Some other quick notes, really quick. Microsoft introduced some stuff for not like a new Windows itself, but some new Windows-like features, I guess, as I understand, I guess more for mobile laptops and stuff like that, which sounded pretty interesting. It's not like they're introducing another Windows 10 or anything, or Windows 11, but they were just introducing some new stuff. Do you want to talk about that a little bit really quick, Cappy?
Yes, it looks like it might be a new Windows version. They're with Windows 10 soon ending support in 2025.
Oof.
It more than likely is going to look like we're going to get a new Windows sometime soon.
But this was supposed to be the last Windows operating system. What do you mean?
More than likely, it's not.
What do you? Wait, wait a minute. Where's my little? Oh, this button is what I'm looking for. What do you mean?
So this cycle has been Microsoft's kind of thing. Cycle Windows products every 7 to 10 years. Look at Windows 7, for example. That has been around for almost 15 years already.
Wow. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a very long time for a Microsoft product, and
definitely
they're ending support next year for Windows 7. 5 years later, Windows 10 is going to have end of support.
I don't understand something though. They literally said this is going to be the last Windows update, or last Windows OS, and then they were going to have Windows 10 as a service, as it was, called.
It could be just a rehash of Windows 10. Right now, it's just dubbed Windows 11 because right now it looks like a brand new operating system, because from what I have read, there's a lot of reworks happening behind the scene in Windows 10.
Uh-huh.
With this new operating system from Microsoft. But more than likely, it's going to be in a feature patch or a service pack or something to that nature.
Okay.
More than likely, we're going to have to reinstall Windows 10 to get these features.
I don't wanna.
But the nice thing is that with Windows 10, all your data is not going to be lost if they keep the Windows 10 architecture up and running.
This is basically how I feel. And I'm going to summarize how I feel in a series of sounds. That is basically how I feel, essentially. Because I'm getting a little annoyed with, having to constantly reinstall Windows. You can do in-place upgrades. That's fine. But, I don't want... if I have to literally reinstall Windows 11, introducing Windows 11, I don't want to have to, do that. Unless they create some kind of way to do a in-place upgrade, as you mentioned, I just make up your mind, Microsoft. Is this the last OS or isn't it? Are you done or you not? This They do, like, Microsoft does this constantly. It's like, guys, people have better things to do than reinstall their OS or upgrade it, let alone anybody actually knowing how to even do it to begin with.
We also might see a new version of Windows, new version of Windows 10 Ultimate Pro or Ultimate Home,
right?
or something
Exactly.
like that.
Like, I mean, Windows Ultimate Everything Extreme. Like, I'm waiting for like and can we name it something other? Like, yes, okay, Mac OS, whatever the newest one is, but like Windows. They go in numbers. Like, I love how we went like 10, we went 7, 8, 8.1, skipped 9, went to 10, and then like, I mean, can Microsoft even count? Like, what happened to like Windows 6, 7, Windows 9, Windows 9.1, 9.5, 9. Whatever. Like, I mean, like, hello?
There was actually already a Windows 9. So, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Microsoft just needs to decide what they're doing and just stick to it already. Like, if anything, go to the business model that Apple has, where like basically it's not like a new Windows, it's just a large feature set upgrade. Like, Windows 10 is super solid. Like, I actually forgot what Windows 7 looks like now, honestly. And when I look at Windows 7, I'm like, ew.
I don't.
Windows 7 was a very good operating system. Very good operating system. I actually did enjoy Windows 7 a lot. And then went to Windows 10 and we got all these like nice little like UI changes and everything, which I enjoyed. I mean, the fact that the Explorer window finally got a stinking dark mode was really, really nice. But like, it's like, Microsoft, please like decide what we're doing. Like, can we get something can we decide on something now? I don't know. I just it's just annoying to me, I guess. I don't know.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, because you do IT stuff, so you would be, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think this episode has dragged on enough. I think I need to stop ranting and wind it all down and everything. But wait, where's the... Oh, crap, I have to... I need to sort out my mixer issues at some point. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening and everything. We'll be back, I think, if everything pans out well, probably June 15th with another episode. This, of course, our episodes are posted usually on Mondays, actually. So you guys won't get this episode. Actually, you'll be listening to this episode on June 10th. So happy Monday to you if you happen to listen to the Google Play version and the iTunes version, which, by the way, you should, if you are watching this on Twitch, should definitely check us out on iTunes and Google Play Music. Simply search The Morning Metro. As you can see, our rolling video over to my, well, I guess it'd be to my right, your left. And again, if you have any article submission, you can email us at themorningmetro@gmail.com and follow us on Twitter as @themorningmetro, which is super easy to find us. Thank you, Cappy, of course, for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being an awesome listening audience and everything. And otherwise, we'll see you all next time. Let's see if I can properly do this outro without messing up, because I keep forgetting how it works.
Goodbye now.
Goodbye now. All right, here we go.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to The Morning Metro. All stories and articles belong to their respected companies. Songs used for broadcasts. Intro music, Retro Funky by Persephone. Remix by Sundance. Outro music, 305 by Approach Nirvana. All music belongs to their respected copyright holders. For article submissions, questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at themorningmetro@gmail.com.